You know, when Donald Sutherland passed away earlier this week, a lot of thoughts went to the best movies he did in his career. Now, 1970s was a great decade for him. Don't Look Now, MASH, you might as well say Ordinary People, even though it came out in 1980. But one of the most important movies he was in was a remake. He rarely was involved in these type of movies. But the 1978 version of Invasion of Body Snatchers was so good for his time and kind of was a groundbreaking movie, similar like the original version was in 1956. It shocked and stunned and horrified many people across the globe. Now, it came out in 1978, directed by Philip Kaufman, and of course, starred a great cast, including Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, Veronica Cartwright of the Cartwright acting family, Jeff Goldblum, and a very, very sinister Leonard Nimoy. He doesn't play Spock in this one. Released on Christmas week, 78, again based on the 55 novel The Body Snatchers by Jack Finney. The novel was previously adapted in a 56 film of the same name, and the plot involves a San Francisco health inspector and his colleague who, over the course of a few days, discover humans are being replaced by alien duplicates from pods. Each is a perfect biological clone of the person replaced, but devoid of empathy and humanity. Now, released in the States, again, it's over Christmas week. Invasion grossed nearly 25 million, which is equivalent to 117 million in 2023 at the American box office. It initially received varied reviews from critics, though its critical reception has significantly improved in subsequent years, with a 93% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. A crowd pleaser for sure, and also being hailed as one of the greatest remakes ever, as well as one of the best science fiction horror films of all time. Now, the film was a big favorite on VHS, Beta, and Laserdisc, and because a lot of people didn't see it at the theaters because by the time word of mouth spread, it was already gone. Now, in this one, a parasitic alien race abandoned their dying planet and traveled to Earth, taking the form of small seed pods with pink flowers. Elizabeth Driscoll, a laboratory scientist at the San Francisco Health Department, brings a flower home. She awakens the next morning to find her boyfriend Jeffrey being cold and distant while putting debris into her garbage truck. She confides to her colleague and friend Matthew Bennell that Jeffrey has changed and she fears he is an imposter. Matthew advises Elizabeth to talk to his psychiatrist friend, David Kibner, who is promoting his new book at a bookstore. While driving there, a hysterical man warns Elizabeth and Matthew of danger as a mob pursues him. He is then killed in a hit and run, surrounded by emotionless onlookers. At the book promotion event, Kibner reassures Elizabeth, another woman who shares some of her misgivings about their significant others. Matthew's friend, Jack Belisic, an eccentric aspiring writer, calls him to investigate when a mysterious embryonic adult body resembling Jack is found in a mud spa he runs with his wife. Matthew goes to warn Elizabeth, but discovers a semi-formed duplicate of her near the bedroom where she is sleeping. Matthew rescues Elizabeth and alerts the police, but when they arrive, Jack and Elizabeth's duplicates have disappeared. Now, Elizabeth deduces that the flowers are somehow involved in examples one at the health department offices. She finds no records of plants matching his description, while Matthew unsuccessfully attempts to alert several government agencies. They encounter several people who have been replaced by duplicates. Matthew, Elizabeth, Jack, and Nancy nearly incur the same fate while hiding out in Matthew's apartment. After destroying their embryonic replacements, Matthew calls the police, but realizes duplicates have taken control. Now, the pod people pursue Matthew's group. Jack and Nancy create a distraction while Matthew and Elizabeth escape back to the city and take refuge at a health department. They each take speed to remain awake. Jack and Kibner's duplicates ambush and inject them with sedatives, while Kibner's duplicate explains the aliens' plan to replace humanity with serene, emotionless duplicates. Matthew escapes with Elizabeth after killing Jack's double and locking Kibner's in a freezer. Now, Matthew and Elizabeth find Nancy, who has evaded the pod people, by hiding her emotions. This works until Elizabeth screams, seeing a dog-human duplicate amalgam, the mutant byproduct of a damaged pod. In the commotion, they get separated from Nancy and board a truck delivering plants to Pier 70, where pod people are processing them. They hide near the pier where Matthew declares his love for Elizabeth while trying to keep awake. A nearby ship is being loaded with pods to populate centers overseas. Elizabeth eventually falls asleep and disintegrates in Matthew's arms. Horrified and enraged, Matthew flees her duplicate, breaks into the dock warehouse, and burns down the building, destroying several plants and killing many pod people. He hides underneath the pier as pursuers search for him, confidently asserting they will inevitably fall asleep. Later, Matthew is about to enter the health department with the duplicated employees. Nancy approaches and calls out to Matthew. He points at her and emits the duplicate's high-pitched scream, a warning that a non-pod is trying to get them. So again, Art Hittle is there as well, our Canadian star, as Dr. Jeffrey Howell. Don Siegel as the taxi driver. And Philip Kaufman's wife, Rose, played outraged woman who argues with Jack at the book party, while Robert Duvall appeared as an uncredited priest on a swing, and Kaufman himself had two uncredited cameos. One is a man who bothers Bennell in a phone booth, and another is the voice of one of the officials, whom Bennell contacts. Now, director Kaufman had been a fan of 56 film, which he likened to great radio, although he had not read the novel until he agreed to direct the film. Now, cinematographer Michael Chapman worked with Kaufman to try to capture the film with Noir feel original in color, reviewing some classics of that genre before production. Now, sound editor Ben Burt, who helped create many of the signature sounds from Star Wars the year before, also added to the film's ambiance. Now, as the special effects were created live for the camera, the scene at the beginning where the pods travel through space from the dead homeworld to San Francisco was one of the simplest. I found some vicious material in an art store. I think we paid $12 for a big vat of it, and then we dropped it into Solutions and reversed the film. Now, the film features a number of cameo appearances. Kevin McCarthy, who played Dr. Miles Bennell in the original Invasion, makes a brief appearance as an old man frankly screaming, "They're coming." Now, the original film's director, Don Siegel, also appears as a taxi driver who alerts the police to Matthew and Elizabeth's attempt to flee the city. Now, Robert Duvall, again, seen as a priest, silently sitting on a swing set in the opening scene. Now, McCarthy and Siegel played a role in shaping the film's twist ending. Before filming, Kaufman had settled with Siegel for advice, and while the two were talking in the latter's office, McCarthy happened to come in. The topic eventually came around to the original film's ending, which regarded as pat. After coming up with the ending, he used it. He kept it secret for everyone involved in the filming except the screenwriter and producer. Now, the film score by Denny Zeitlin was released on United Artists, the only one he ever composed, and Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead recorded the banjo parts. Now, Kaufman said of the casting of Nimoy, Leonard had got typecast in his film was an attempt to break him out of that, referring to the similar quirks that Dr. Kibner and his pod double had coming with Spock, the Star Trek character that Nimoy was best known for. According to Kaufman, it was Mike Medavoy, head of production at United Artists, who suggested the casting of Donald Sutherland. Sutherland's character had a similar curly hairstyle as that of another character he portrayed in Don't Look Now from '73. He would have to set his hair with pink rollers every day, recording co-star Veronica Cartwright. According to Zeitlin, Sutherland's character was originally written as an avocational jazz player. Now, box office again. Between its premiere on December 25th, the film earned $1.3 million in box office sales. It went on to gross a total of nearly $25 million in the States. Now, on the film's 40th anniversary, Kaufman believes the film may have seemed timely when it came out, since the Jonestown mass suicide had occurred a month earlier and still dominated the news. That was the case of a lot of people from San Fran who were looking for a better world and suddenly found himself in Poddom, and it was fatal. It could have been more pointed reason for watching the movie. Now, Pauline Kael was a particular fan of the film, writing that it may be the best film of its kind ever made. Variety wrote that it validates the entire concept of remakes. Now, the film was not without negative criticism. Janet Maisel of the New York Times said, "The creepiness Kaufman generates is so crazily ubiquitous it becomes funny." Roger Ebert wrote that it was said to have something to do with Watergate and keeping tabs on those who are not like you, and called Kael's praise for the film inexplicable, while Time magazine's Richard Scheichel labeled the screenplay laughably literal. Phil Hardy's Oram Film Encyclopedia called Kaufman's direction less sure than the screenplay. Now, it received a nomination for the Writers Guild of America, Best Drama Adapted from Another Medium. It was also nominated for Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. It was recognized by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. Kaufman won Best Director, and the film was nominated for Best Science Fiction Film. Sutherland, Adams, and Nimoy received additional nominations for their performances. Some people were surprised either Sutherland or Nimoy was nominated, but you know how much the Oscars liked Donald Sutherland. Now, Invasion of the Body Snatchers has been named among the greatest film remakes ever made by several publications, including Rolling Stone. Now, film scholar M. Keith Booker said that the film's paranoid atmosphere links it to other films outside the science fiction genre, including Alan J. Pakula's The Parallax View. Now, in a 2018 review published by Complex, the movie was ranked among the greatest science fiction films of all time. I figure it's at least top 50. It comes almost like British horror, where you know what's going on, but it's not really, the blood and guts. Now, the film itself offers a strong critique of consumerism. The character of Jeffrey spends his free time mindfully watching TV commercials, a trait that is continued by the pod version of him. Now, on home video, released on VHS and DVD in the United States, of course, a big hit on VHS and Laserdisc. The film was released on Blu-ray in 2010 by MGM, then released once more on Blu-ray in 2013 by Arrow Video in the States, and Shout in the States and Canada in 2016, using a new 2K scan of the interpositive, in addition to new and legacy extras. The Shout release has since been out of print. A native 4K Ultra High HD Blu-ray was released in 21 through Kino Lober, who also released a remastered Blu-ray on February 1st, 2022. Now, Arrow Video also released a 4K edition of the film in June 2024. Now, the Chicago Film Critics Association named it the 59 scariest film ever made. The idea about the movie, you enter it thinking it's going to go a certain way if you haven't seen it before. Now, Kaufman also said that he wanted to value the movie because he had worked with him in the underrated Western, The Great Northfield, Minnesota Raid, who happened to be in San Fran at the time of filming and did the scene for free. Kaufman states that Duvall's character is the first pod person to be seen in the film. He was reportedly paid with an Eddie Bauer quote. You got to stay warm on assignment. So again, 3.5 stars out of 4. The only problem I have with the movie is Brooke Adams. For obvious reasons, she's an okay actress, but it would have been better maybe to have somebody like, I know Samantha Egger, but she was British, or even somebody to an extent of Jill Clayburgh or something. Brooke Adams is an okay actress. She was okay in The Dead Zone, but she's too soap opera-ish, as we say. But Donald Sutherland eats up the scenery here because at the end, when you really don't know if he's a pod or a real person, there's a suspension of disbelief. And this probably in the movie, in the Stonecutter song, who makes Steve Guttenberg a star, could be the same thing about this. Jeff Goldblum was just on the periphery for years. Nashville, thank God it's Friday, and here in this movie, and all of a sudden he was everywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our movie podcast, get it? Podcast? Let us know what you like, comment, subscribe, or share. And rest in peace, Donald Sutherland. Go Expos Go. Have a good day, guys. Bye.